Hey guys, this is Luis Agustin, and this is a View to Film podcast. First wanted to share my thoughts on why I made this podcast and why I'm doing this. In general, I love film, and I guess I've never been a big fan of journalistically writing things down. I think that the audio medium is going to suit me better to kind of get my thoughts, and I love talking about movies. And it's just something that I've always wanted to do, just kind of have guests along, talk shit about movies, and just share my thoughts and get my thoughts out there because I really do enjoy watching a lot of films, TV as well, but films mostly where I could appreciate the art of film and just talk about it. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and start the podcast. I'm going to have one of my very first guests. Looking forward to it, and hopefully there'll be a lot more. And let's get started. So, no better guest to have than my very own producer, Miss Nathaly Abreu.
Hello.
Welcome, Nat.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy you took the time out of your day to come and join me. I'm very excited. And what movie did we pick as our first film that we're going to talk about on my podcast?
We picked Catch Me If You Can.
Awesome. All right. Why don't you start by telling the viewers and myself a little bit about the movie. What is the movie about?
Okay, so Catch Me If You Can is a movie directed by Steven Spielberg. Fun fact, I did not know that when I watched the film because I was 7 years old when it came out. But it's basically about this young guy named Frank Abagnale Jr.
Okay.
Who was a huge con artist. And he was a doctor, a lawyer, a pilot, and at one point, and it was all fraud. And he also forged checks. Okay. So it's basically about this FBI agent named Carl Hanratty who's trying to locate Frank Abagnale.
Okay.
And he's trying to catch him. And Frank Abagnale's like, catch me if you can, Hanratty. So that's what it's about.
All right. So you said you saw this when you were 7. I was like 15 when I looked this up. How did you feel when you first saw this movie? From what you can remember, because you saw this so long ago. Now you're in your 20s. You got a life. And we just recently saw this movie for those people who don't know. So we're coming fresh. We just saw the movie. We have everything in our minds. Our feelings are probably going to be a little bit different now from how it was back then when you first saw it. So what do you remember feeling when you first saw this movie?
So I don't think I watched this when I was 7.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I can't remember when exactly I watched this, but I was definitely 7 years old when it came out.
Right.
And I remember when I watched it, I loved it because I was like, it was a chase. It made me feel like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? I was a kid, right? And yeah, I just thought it was great. That was the question. What's the question again?
No, but how did you feel? Like, you just thought it was great, right?
I thought it was amazing.
You thought it was amazing.
Oh my God, this dude is a huge con artist. Like, I couldn't believe that, because it's based on a true story. And I couldn't believe that this guy legit lied his way through his teenage years, because he was a teenager when this was happening. He was a minor.
Correct.
And he was trying to be he was a doctor, and like he was legit a doctor. He didn't practice any type of medicine, but he was a doctor.
Right.
And then I was like, when he passed the Louisiana bar, the Louisiana State Bar, it was like, whoa, how did this dude just con his way into becoming a lawyer? Like, that to me was just insane.
Right. Okay.
So I know as a kid, I was just baffled. I was just like, whoa, what is this dude?
So if we think about the math, you probably saw this movie right around the time when Frank in the movie was becoming notorious and becoming the con artist that he was, right? Before we get into anything else, though, spoiler warning, because I don't want people to listen and think like, oh, we gave away the whole movie. But we're going to be talking in depth about the movie, all right?
Spoilers.
Yeah, so if anybody's listening, please, like, just watch the film. So, let's see. Where do we first start? What do you want to first talk about? Where do you want to take it?
Oh my god.
Or do you want to just...
Where can we take this, Louis?
Well, how about this? Why do you love this film? Even now. You just finished watching it.
Oh my god, yeah. I just finished watching it and I'm still like, yo, this is such a great film. First, Leo is amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio was in this film.
Okay.
And he's an amazing actor. And I like how he becomes the character in every film that he's in. And he became Frank Abagnale.
Okay.
And we have a lot of popular actors in this. We have Jennifer Garner, Amy Adams.
You got it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, what's this dude's name? Who's Hanratty? What's his name again?
Oh my
Tom
God.
Hanks. Tom Hanks.
One of the greatest I ever did it.
Like,
come on.
And what's this girl's name? Ellen Pompey. Like,
Yeah.
you have so many great actors in this film.
Okay.
And the way that Leo just performs this role, like I feel like when I watched this film when I was younger, I probably thought Leo was actually Abagnale.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I knew he wasn't. Like, it made me feel like, whoa, this dude is actually this person. And when an actor can do that in a role, it just makes a film just that much more perfect.
Okay. Well, would you argue that he not only played one role, he played multiple roles?
Oh,
because
yeah.
he kept trying to persuade everybody of who else was he. He wasn't himself. And, you know, not to jump ahead, but I feel like when he really showed who he really was, do you remember when in the film he showed who he really was and to who? Because it was very telling.
Yeah.
When?
So this is what I'm thinking that you're going at.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So Brenda's father, who was a lawyer.
Correct.
So his he went to basically ask the dad for his hand in marriage, right? For the blessing. And the right before this scene, and I like this scene, it's not my favorite scene, but I like the scene a lot. So he's in their house, and Brenda's with her family, her dad and her mom, and the dad's like, you know, fishing for information. He's like, oh, what law school you went to? And then he's like, Berkeley. And dad's like, oh, Berkeley, do you remember Mr. Hemingsworth? I think that was the name of the professor. I don't know. It was like Hemingsworth or something worth. And then he's like, oh yeah, that old man. And he's just so confident, right? And then the dad says, yeah, and his name, the dog. What's his name of the dog? So he's testing Frank. And in my head, even to this day, when I was watching, I was like, oh, he knows that he's faking. Okay. He knows that he's faking. And then they go to the scene where the dad is talking to Frank. And the dad is like, who are you? Who really are you? I want the truth. And there, even when I watched it today, I was like, oh my God. Like, he knows, right? Because I feel like deep down he knew something was off about this guy, right? Something was off about him.
Do you think parents always know?
Parents always know. Parents always know. But I think when Frank was 100% honest. He was like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not even a pilot. And the dude didn't even know anything about pilot. Right. So he was like, I'm not even that. I'm just a kid who's in love with your daughter or something like that, he said, right? And he was just honest. He laid his heart right at the table. He was like, I'm just trying to marry your child. All
right. So, and I hate to skip for the whole entire movie because we're smack dab in the middle. But here are some of my burning questions from that scene. Number one, why do you think that Frank opened up to that father in the movie versus the other father figures he's had in his life versus, you know, really telling his own dad what he's been doing and just faking it, or versus anybody else that he's met throughout his life? Why did he open up to him in particular?
Damn, that's a good question. Man, you know.
And also, here's another question. Think about that one.
Okay.
Here's another question that I have, and this is another one that came up when I was watching that scene.
Okay.
Why do you think that out of all the women that Frank was with, that we saw portrayed in the film, why do you think that he fell for Brenda?
Okay, I know that one.
Why?
Brenda was very vulnerable. Brenda was like a child.
Okay.
Brenda was very... We don't know how old she was, but she seemed very immature.
Right.
And
yeah, she was portrayed as very immature.
Very immature, right? She had braces.
Yeah.
She cried when the doctor was like telling her something. I guess she did something wrong.
Yeah.
And when Frank saw that, he saw, okay, this is someone vulnerable that I can use to my advantage. And he did use her to his advantage when he was trying to become a doctor and all that stuff, right?
Right, in the beginning.
In the beginning, right. But I think the reason why he fell for her was because she was like a child like him.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, that's my answer.
So do you think it just goes back to him feeling that the same way he's felt throughout his life? The fact that it's like, wow, nobody's looked out for me. I'm a child on my own. I want to nurture her and take care of her the way I never got that. Is that where you're taking this, or what is it that you think?
No, I mean that's a good point, right? Mm-hmm. But I also think she was on the same level that he was. I mean, he's on a different level intellectually, that's for sure.
Okay.
But the fact that she just seemed very childlike, I think brought him to who he actually was, a child. Okay. You know, because he is a child. He was 16 when he left his house. 17 around that time, yeah. Right? So he was still a child. So I feel like when you're connecting with or you're talking to someone that takes you back to who you were, it's like, oh wow, this is real, this is actually who I am. So I think he felt comfortable with her because of that. And I guess that's also why he opened up to the dad.
Right.
Because he felt like his not true self, but he felt truer to himself with her than he did when he wasn't with her.
Okay.
So he still faked it. He still said he was a doctor or whatever. He was trying to be a lawyer. But I also think that so he told the dad, he was honest with the dad, and I think it's because of that.
And he got his blessing.
And I also think that's why he tried to prove to his dad, to Brenda's dad, that he wanted to be a lawyer. And he ended up doing it. He passed the bar, and he became an assistant prosecutor. Mm-hmm. And I think that was him trying to tell the dad, like, okay, I'm not this, but now I am.
Right.
Like, this is what I did. I actually did this. Like, he actually studied for this. Right. And that's one thing he didn't fake. Even though I'm sure he faked him being from Berkeley or coming from Berkeley or whatever. But he didn't fake passing the bar. And I think that's because he was honest with the dad.
Okay.
And he was trying to prove himself to the dad because he loved Brenda.
One more question for you about this. Why do you think the dad ended up just giving him his blessing? Because he just became truthful? Why do you think it is? Because he let his guard down? Or he wanted something better for his daughter?
No, in that scene, he saw a man, whether or not he believed that he wasn't a doctor, he wasn't a lawyer, he wasn't a pilot, whether or not he actually believed that, he was like, damn, this person is willing to lie or fight for my daughter. I want my daughter with someone who's going to do that for her. Okay. I think that might have been what it was. Like, he saw Frank be completely 100% honest, and he said, yo, I love your daughter. Like, I'm a kid who's in love with your daughter. He was honest. Right. Whether or not the dad was smart by giving him the blessing, that's a different story.
Here's another question. Do you think that dad was pissed because we don't know what happened afterwards when the cops came for him?
I think he was pissed.
You think so?
I think so.
But he didn't lie to him.
He didn't.
He didn't lie to him. He just was like, bro,
he didn't, but
I'm not this, and I'm. Yeah. He pretty much told them, I have been conning my way, faking all these professional lifestyles, and I'm still down to get with your daughter. And then the dad was like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
But you know what it is?
You got that same hustle that I did.
Yeah. But you know what it is? Frank proved himself by actually becoming a lawyer.
True.
So, and then they also threw a party, and I'm sure that cost them mad money, throwing that party. And that's an embarrassment to the dad, to the family, not even to the daughter, to the family. So I'm sure that family has been embarrassed.
All right. Well, we'll circle back to that. But let's get into the main topic of what I want to talk about, because this is what stuck with me from rewatching this film. I personally rewatched this film so many times throughout my childhood and growing up as well, and I loved it. And now that I'm a little bit older, and now that I've gotten into more of like that kind of film study in my own version, because I never went to film school, so I don't know what I'm really talking about, but in my own version, this is what I think the central theme of this movie is, and that's daddy issues. That's it. That's the central. It's true.
Daddy issues.
That's the central theme of this film. I think that throughout his life, and you know, everybody we've seen, that it's about the relationship with their father. Yeah. And I believe that a main thing that comes up in this film was the trauma and the divorce that he faced, you know, with his dad and his mom. So the first question I have for you, and I want your take on this, is why did Frank Jr. fight so much for his parents to be together? Why do you think that?
Why he wanted his dad and his mom to be together?
Yeah, why?
He fought for it?
Yeah, why did he fight for it? Because he came hard at his dad. He kept, every time that they met up or they spoke, he always asked him, like, what's up with mom? Why are you not trying your best to be with her? Or what's going on? Come on, bring her out. Let's all be together as a family.
Here, a bunch of this Cadillac.
Yeah.
Drive to her house.
Yeah, drive to her house. Go talk to her. Like, why do you think that is? Why do you think that throughout, or the way the movie was portrayed, why did that come up? Why did the director feel that this was central for us to see that version? Because another director probably wouldn't even show that version of him, but I guess Spielberg felt this was central to his character development. So why do you think that is?
Here's the thing. Kids never want their parents to be divorced. Kids always want that perfect family that his little half sister has with her. Yeah, with her
that was another point I was going to bring up. Yeah,
and I think that scene is very beautiful because he's like looking at her, and she's a little kid playing with her little harmonica, and he says, "Where's your mom?" And she goes like she points back and she shows him their mom. Right. And I think that's what he wanted his whole life. He wanted. Or not even his whole life, because he's still a teenager at that point, right? He was like 19.
No, but in essence, if you think about it, his life is over, technically speaking, right? Because they got divorced. His mom has moved on. She has another family. She doesn't even bother catching up with her son like the dad did. And his life is done as far as like his parents go. So why? That's what I was saying. Like, well, why do you think that he fought so hard?
Yeah, I think so. He wants the childhood that little girl has. That's one. Okay. And also it's that moment when they got a divorce and the lawyer was like, okay, you get to put someone's name. So he's like, whose name? And the dad says, anyone's name, just pick one of us and it'll be over. He doesn't sign anything. He leaves and he runs away. And that's the moment that he becomes a con artist for years. That's the pivotal moment, that change, that okay, I have no money. I don't have anywhere to go. I just ran away from my house. I have to fend for myself. The only thing I know how to do is con because my dad taught me how to do this. Okay. And I don't think he wanted to be that. Like, there's so many instances when you see in the film where Frank is like, tell me to stop. So he tells his dad, tell me to stop.
That's something else I wrote down. Yeah. Why do you think he challenged his dad?
His dad taught him how to do this. Not to the extent that he did. But he planted that seed. And I think the only person that can take that out and the root of that seed is the person who planted it. It's his dad. Okay. And I think that's why he wanted his dad and his mom together. Because if they're together, he could live with them again. And he'll stop whatever it is he's doing. I think if his dad and his mom ended up saying, okay, no, we're going to fight and we're going to be together again forever, and they're going to reverse that divorce or whatever, remarry, then Frank wouldn't have continued doing what he was doing. Okay. He still would have got arrested because he had like 1.3 million of debt of thing that he owned, but he would have stopped. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What about his other father figure, Mr. Hanratty?
Mr. Hanratty.
Why do you think Frank throughout the movie developed such a father figure type relationship with him?
I think it's because Hanratty wanted to stop him. He wanted to catch him, and Frank wanted to be catched. Frank wanted to be stopped. He did.
Why?
Because he didn't want to continue. I feel like he knew what he was doing was wrong. He loved the benefits of it.
Okay.
But when you're in deep in a lie, and you can't get out of it, you need someone else to pull you out of it. And I think Frank wanted that somehow. He didn't get that from his dad. His dad didn't tell him to stop.
Right.
His dad basically said, "Continue. Where you going? Where's next? Like, what exotic country are you going to?"
Right.
Hanratty.
Tahiti.
Yeah. Exactly. Tahiti.
Hawaii.
Yeah, and Hanratty was the one that was like, I'ma catch you.
Right.
It's gonna be hard to catch you. And Frank loved to chase. He wanted someone to catch him.
Okay. All right. Let's get to our first topic. Favorite quotes.
I'm ready for this because
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Why? What's up? What do you got?
Okay, I have two favorite quotes. But
you got two.
Okay.
Oh my God.
But they're both my favorite quotes because it's repeated often.
Okay.
In the film, and I'm sure you're gonna know which two they are because they're the two that have been referenced a lot.
Why don't we can compare our list because I have something and you have something. So go ahead.
So I have two.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm gonna go in order.
Go ahead.
I think. Okay, so the first one is Frank Abagnale Sr.
Okay.
is at the Rotary Club and he's doing a speech because he just got recognized, right? And he says, two little mice fell in a bucket of cream. The first mouse quickly gave up and drowned. The second mouse wouldn't quit. He struggled so hard that eventually he churned that cream into butter and crawled out.
Right.
Gentlemen, as of this moment, I am that second mouse.
Okay. Why did his dad lean on that quote?
So his dad leaned on this quote because
Okay.
he's that second mouse. He turned that cream into butter. So...
Yeah, did he? I don't know.
He said he did. He conned his way there. Into buying butter.
He led us all to believe that.
Exactly.
I would argue he's actually the first mouse because he didn't get nothing done.
Yeah, he definitely drowned.
He kept drowning. He kept drowning. He didn't know when to stop, and I feel like that really led to his downfall. He didn't know when to say, all right, you know what? What I'm doing is not benefiting myself or my family. I'm not doing myself any favors.
No.
And it was personally sad to see because he kept going about his way trying to show off, right? Kind of like how we see people do nowadays where like they'll buy something fancy and try to show off and try to portray an image that they're not. And I think that his dad kept going by that quote. And I'm glad you brought up that quote because what I wrote down was, is the My Story Frank's religion?
Frank Jr.?
Frank Jr.'s religion.
Definitely is his religion.
Why do you think?
He's not Lutheran. It's his religion.
No, I'm serious. I wrote that down. It's not one of my favorite quotes, but I wrote it down. I said, wow, if you really think about it, because in the movie, they challenged him on his religion, but his religion is that My Story that he held on from his dad's teachings. The fact that you just got to keep going, you just got to keep going, you got to keep going. Yeah. But then on the other end, he wanted to be stopped because he's a kid. Walk me through that. What do you think?
Okay. So this quote. First, I'm gonna say why I like it. So
okay, go ahead. Why do you like it?
It was referenced to several times throughout the film, right? Yeah. So the dad says it first during the Rotary Club speech. Then he says it again during lunch with Frank. So both Franks are having lunch together. And Frank Jr. is telling his dad, like, he's kind of worried about his dad, right? And his dad is telling him, no, I'm good. Like, remember, which mouse am I? I'm the second one. Right. So it kind of like, he put this idea in Frank's mind that no matter what happens, he's always gonna, like, do well.
Prevail.
Exactly, because he's that second mouse. Like, he's never gonna drown. Even though he definitely drowned. And then this ties into your question about whether or not it's his religion.
Right.
Because during the dinner with Brenda's family, he says it as his prayer. Mm-hmm. Like this mouse proverb is his tale. Is his prayer.
Right. Yeah.
And the mother and the daughter eat it up.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh my God, the second mouse turned into butter? Did he really? Like, oh, are you serious? This is a little proverb, a mice proverb from Frank Abagnale.
Okay.
And I think because, like, as you said, his dad kept on saying it, and he put it in his mind. It was his teachings.
Okay.
So Frank was like, I'm not going to drown. My family lost everything. They lost their money. They basically lost their business. They lost their house. They lost their marriage. I cannot drown. I need to do better for my family.
Okay.
Whether or not it's the legal thing to do or the right thing to do morally or ethically speaking, Frank was thinking, my parents lost everything. I lost everything. Even though he didn't lose everything because they were still alive at that point. But he said in his head, he's like, I lost everything and I cannot let these unfortunate circumstances kill me. I cannot be drowned by this. So I need to do whatever I can to make this money so that my dad could have his car again. Because remember, his dad sold
Lost
the car.
No, he didn't sell it. He lost it.
Okay.
He lost that shit.
They lost their house. They lost everything.
They lost their house, yeah.
And then he's like, no, I have to do this because I have to be the person. I have to be that second mouse. I have to be that second mouse.
Okay. Let's talk about one of my favorite quotes.
Okay.
All right. So from the movie, this one really stuck with me. And this was Frank Jr., who repeated it from his dad. He said, an honest man has nothing to fear. And that resonated with me because both of these two idiots, Frank and Frank, well, they're not idiots, they're super smart, but they literally said an honest man has nothing to fear. That was their quote. And I'm like, bro, come on, man. Like, what do you mean an honest man has nothing to fear? You literally went the entire movie planting all these other ideas into people's minds. You know, conning, doing whatever you need to do to get by. The way he was conning the tellers, or the way he was conning the flight stewardess, or the way he was doing everything throughout the film, he wasn't being honest. So I feel like this quote resonated with me throughout the film because he wasn't being an honest man, and he was fearful the whole time. He was feared about getting caught, even though he wanted to get caught. But then why didn't you let them catch you? Why did you keep the chase going? Yeah. You know? So I think that, especially that quote, I really enjoyed it because it's like, it told you everything you needed to know about the movie, about how, hey, if you're quoting your dad and he keeps saying this, an honest man has nothing to fear, then you should stay by that. And I guess it goes back to our parents. Our parents always say, oh, do as I say, not as I do, right? Because his dad would tell him the right things, right? But he wouldn't do the right things. He literally hired him. Well, I shouldn't say hired, but he literally had him be his chauffeur so he can show off that he has money, but he didn't have money when they went to the bank to try to get that loan to save his business. Yeah. So if your kid is seeing this, that you're doing this, then, you know, there's really nothing honest about that. And I feel like that should go for all of us. The fact that we should all try to be as honest as we can and show that we're honest. And it's not just about talk, it's about doing. And that one to me was like, wow, like it was a really good call. Yeah.
That's a good one.
All right. Well, what's your next one?
Okay, this is another typical one. But it's because, again, it was stated multiple times, and this is basically one of the themes or motifs of the film. Yeah. So in the beginning, I think this was actually when that scene when Frank Jr. drives his dad to
the bank. Mm-hmm.
I think it's like around that time
Okay.
of the film. And Frank asks the dad asks Frank, you know why the Yankees always win?
Mm.
Frank says, because they have Mickey Mantle. And then the dad says, no, it's because the other teams can't stop staring at those damn pinstripes.
What does that quote mean to you?
Oh my God. So Frank...
Do you even follow baseball? Are you a baseball player?
I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a Yankee fan, but I do not follow baseball.
Okay, all right.
So that's that.
But as a person that doesn't follow baseball, it resonates to you?
It definitely does.
Why is that?
Because it's all about appearance.
Okay.
It's all about how you look in front of people. It's not about what you know or the players that you have.
Right.
Whether or not it's Mickey Mantle.
Right.
Who I guess was a really great player at that time.
Oh my God. For all you Yankee fans listening, he's one of the greatest ever. Yes.
Greatest of all time.
Oh my
he was
God.
the GOAT. He was the GOAT, guys.
Oh my God.
He was the GOAT.
I'm getting embarrassed here on baseball. Watch when my baseball friends listen to this, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, this girl."
No.
Go ahead.
Guys, come on. I just said I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm not a baseball person. Hello. He's the GOAT, though. He's the GOAT.
Send help.
This ain't a baseball podcast.
Okay, all right. It's not a baseball
film. It's a view to film.
A view to film.
I know films, okay. So again, it's not about who you have on your corner.
Right.
It's not about what you know, what you've done. It's not about being great at something.
Okay.
It's about your appearance and how you can manipulate your appearance or someone else's appearance to get what you need in life.
Yes.
And that's what Frank did during all of his cons. If you look at when he was trying to cash the checks, where he was going to the women who were vulnerable or who looked like they could like be taken advantage of. Right. So that first one when he was like, "Oh, you're like you have the beautifulest eyes in the world," or whatever. And then she smiled and there's a gap in her tooth, right? And I'm saying that gaps are bad. I'm saying that gaps are bad because they're not. But he picked someone who looked like she could be vulnerable, so he used that to their advantage, and he knows he's a good-looking dude, so he could use that to his advantage. But also,
do you think Frank Abagnale, the real one, looked good?
I want to know what he looks like. Honestly, I think he might have been attractive.
You think he was very attractive?
If you're an ugly dude,
let's Google this live. Hold on.
Yeah. I feel like if you there's a lot of privilege there's privilege in being pretty.
Yeah,
there's a lot of privilege in being pretty.
Yeah.
And for him to get away with a lot of the things that he got away with, I think he had to have been a handsome dude.
he was decent. I mean, look, I'm passing Nathaly a picture of him now. This is when he was on the show. Okay, I am about
Oh my God. Okay, I think that's a bad angle. Mr. Frank Abagnale.
I think they took this picture from in the part of the movie where they show them that he's on that show where they're trying to figure out who is who. Yeah, that's how he looks.
Okay, right, so he's a good-looking dude.
We pulled a picture of him now.
And
but I wanted to see what he used to look like. That's why. Like, all right, see, that's when he was like flying the plane. And
he looks like he could be a doctor. He looks like he could be a lawyer.
He definitely looks like he could be a doctor.
A pilot.
100%. 100%.
He has that look.
He looks like a doctor.
That's crazy.
Oh my God, these pictures are hilarious. Look at these pictures. Oh my God. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, during this time, please take a look at Frank Abagnale on the web so you can see what we're looking at.
Oh, they took a picture. The staff. Leo and Tom Hanks with him. And the director. Nice. All right. So you were saying?
So appearances is everything, right? And then it also makes me think of like, you know when in the beginning of the film, the mother drops some wine on the floor.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh, get something to clean it up," right? So Frank Jr. goes and he gets something. And then he sees his dad dancing with the mom. And they're smearing wine all over. Like the wine was in a little place. And then it like spreads because they're dancing over it. So they're stepping on it and they're transferring it over.
Yeah.
And that to me is the quote. They're not focused on the wine anymore. They're focused on the dancing. Like the mom's not even focused on it. She's like, oh, she's mesmerized by this man, even though she cheated on him and did him dirty. But she's mesmerized by the
That's
dance
for another movie.
That's
for another show. Another time.
So she forgets.
Yeah.
And he made her forget because of that appearance, so to speak, right?
Right.
And also that's when Frank was like, damn, I want that. I want to be somewhere in life where something happens, but they're not thinking of that. They're thinking of something else.
Yeah.
And he encapsulated that. He definitely encapsulated that. And you also see that in several times. So the first one, well, I mentioned the first one with a bank, right? And then there's another scene when he becomes a pilot, and he's about to go on a free ride, and then he asks the lady. So the lady at the front desk is like, "Oh, are you my dead end pilot?
Deadhead.
Are you my dead end pilot? My deadhead pilot. Deadhead. Thank you for correcting me."
Yeah, you're welcome.
And he says that what? Like, he was confused, right? But she wasn't focused on him being confused because he had the pilot. He had the attire. She wasn't focused that he wasn't aware of what that meant. And then he goes into the plane, and the stewardess, played by Ellen Pompey, Miss Meredith Grey. That's not her name in the film, but she's a stewardess, Miss Meredith Grey.
Cameo appearance.
She walks him into the cockpit.
Her name was Marcy.
I
didn't forget because it was an M. Marcy. So I was like, oh, Marcy. Yeah.
Marcy, there's Darcy.
Darcy.
Brenda.
Okay. Brenda.
Okay, so then Marcy brings him into the pit where all the pilots are, and she's like, okay, you could take a seat. Mm-hmm. And he's over here looking where am I gonna sit down? Because there's no clear seat anywhere.
Right.
So he was over here looking, and instead of like asking someone, because if you ask someone, then they'll know, like, why are you here? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Instead of doing that, he showed them that he know what he was talking about. The dude was like, oh, what equipment are you on, or do you use something like that? And then he was talking that pilot talk. And while he was talking the pilot talk, he's over here looking, trying to figure out where the hell he's gonna sit down.
Right.
But no one noticed, besides Marcy, that no one important. I mean, Marcy's important because she's a stewardess, but none of the actual pilots who would know where it is actually noticed that.
Right.
And that's all the pinstripe. That's the pinstripe quote right there.
Right. You're right. It actually reminds me of a quote. Not a quote, but something my friends usually tell me, and if they listen to us, they know what I'm talking about. That, not sure if you know this, but the bumblebee doesn't, bumblebees can't fly, but they still do. Do you know why they fly? Because they don't know that they can't fly. They just fly.
So they can fly?
No, they fly because they just fly, but they don't know that they're not built to fly. What? Yeah, they're not built to fly.
What are they built for then?
They're built for pollinating. That's what they're built for. Maybe I missaid the quote, but they're not. No. I got another one of our producers looking it up here. Like, hey, look this up. But if you act like you belong, then you belong. Mm-hmm. Then people won't notice. Like, oh no, he doesn't belong. You don't get that. What is it? Imposter syndrome. Like, like, oh, I don't feel like I belong.
Yeah.
Right. But. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you just act natural. You go about your day, and if they don't stop you, then you belong. Mm-hmm. Did you look it up? What is? All right, we'll come back to it because I have my other quote that I like to share, but it kind of goes back to what you were saying. Mm-hmm. My other quote was when he was telling Hanratty, like, people know what you tell them.
Oh yeah.
He told them that. Mm-hmm. He says like. Oh, how do you know? He's like, yo, people know what you tell them. It's like I'm making up all these farces, but that's it. People will believe that the BS. It's what you tell them. It's very. I would say it's very rare for somebody to call you out on your BS. And it kind of leads into my favorite scene, if you want to jump into that. Oh,
yes. Okay, yeah.
So my favorite scene of the movie, 1,000%, is the first time that he fools Hanratty.
Oh, my God.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Because
yes.
He told them that. It sometimes, there's only like, and it's true, I guess this goes for real life, that when you tell somebody something, they usually just believe you. Mm-hmm. Associate, a friend, now with the age that we're living in, we have Google right in our back pocket, and we could just call BS on stuff that's going on. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, if somebody tells you something, you're like, oh yeah, that sounds legit. Like, I believe you for it. So Hanratty walks in, and he immediately jumps into character. He goes, oh no, I'm with the Secret Service, and no, man, that's the guy right down there. Look, that's I even forgot the name of the guy.
Yeah,
what was it, Murph? Murph? He said, yeah, Murph. Yeah,
Murph.
He said Murph, and immediately he fell right into that because we want to believe what people tell us, mm-hmm. right? Immediately, we don't want to doubt first. Mm-hmm. I think, I don't know if it's a cultural thing. What do you think it is? Why do you think that when somebody who, like, even an acquaintance, if they tell us a piece of information and we believe them right away, why do you think that is?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know, yeah.
Take people for their word?
Yeah, you just take people for their word unless they prove to you that you gotta question them, then you start questioning them.
Yeah, let me see here. Hold on, I'm pulling up that bumblebee information. There's a popular misconception that bees shouldn't be able to fly. Wow, okay. I guess I look like an idiot on my own podcast.
Boom, 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 boom. You need like little sound bites.
Yeah.
You just hit a button and it's like, oh, fail.
Something like that. Yeah.
Mom.
Whoops.
You flopped that one.
Whoops. But yeah, so that's my favorite scene.
That's a great scene.
I feel Leo really did well with that scene. I don't know how many takes he did it on, but the way his charisma came off the screen, mm-hmm. and the way that Tom Hanks like kind of made his character fall for it, like, mm-hmm. oh yeah, of course, and it really captivated you, it captured you. I think that was the climax, because the other times that they met up, it was kind of like, oh, we're touching base, we're kind of like following a routine, mm-hmm. but this guy was so good that he even fooled you. You're the only one that was dedicated his whole mission was to capture this guy. And you were so nervous, mm-hmm. you couldn't flip your badge the right way. You barely got your gun out. Mm-hmm. It was like that moment where, oh my God, I got him. And you just dropped the ball because you were that excited. Mm-hmm. He was overwhelmed with nerves. His leg was shaking, and it was just great acting on both of their parts because it just came off the screen, mm-hmm. and it really captivated me. I think that's like really like where the movie, where I was like, oh wow, this is why I really enjoy this film, and this is why I go back to it and I'll rewatch that scene over and over again because of what he did to him. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was a great scene. I love when Frank comes out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
And for a split second, you see his face is like, oh crap, and then he boom jumps into character, into Barry Allen's character.
Barry Allen.
And then
shout out to the Flash.
And then it's funny because when he gives him the wallet, when Frank gives Carl Hanratty the wallet, Hanratty's about to open it, and he's like, look. Mm-hmm, my associate is bringing him into the car right now. And then that goes back to the pinstripe idea, that it doesn't matter like what you know, whatever it is, it matters. Everything is about appearance. Yes. So that wallet, especially the wallet didn't have any cards, any information. It had just what was it, like Coca-Cola, like flyers,
like clippings from paper.
But this dude Carl Hanratty, he didn't know that. He did not know that at all. So he fooled him like crazy. But I do want to talk about my favorite scene.
Please, let's do it. Yeah, let's get into it.
So I have two. And the only reason I have two is because one is the beginning of Frank's conning, and one is like towards the end of his conning. Okay. So
when you say the beginning, you mean that long arc where he stumbles upon the flight crew which part?
Okay, so fine, I'll talk about the first one then.
No, go ahead. No, this is your favorite scene. So I want to know what you mean.
So the first one is when he cons his way into being a substitute teacher.
Oh yes, that was fantastic.
And that's the first time we actually see him pull a con. Mm-hmm. And it's a week-long con, and the principal told his parents that Frank was about to go on a school trip with them.
He handed out homework.
And he did a parent-teacher conference. He held a parent-teacher conference. And that was the start of his true conning.
Right.
Of his true... And the reason why he didn't stop was because his dad looked at him like, there you go. Like, good job, son.
Like, nice job. Yeah, and the mom
job.
immediately turned away. She didn't even want to look at him. How do you think he got caught? When the regular teacher came back?
When the regular teacher came back.
And the next week?
The other teacher came back.
Who the hell are you?
But the great thing about that scene is that the actual substitute teacher comes, and she's this older lady who drove from Dixon, she said, right? From a long, far away.
Probably like an hour commute.
Yeah, and she's like, how are they going to do this to me? And then she yells at Frank, and she's like, tell them not to call me again. I'm not coming here ever again. Yeah. But he had no remorse. He was like, boom, I'm the substitute teacher now.
May I ask you a question?
I cannot go back.
Do you think those kids learned a lot more that week? That 1 week with Frank than they ever did with the
They probably did, because he got them to...
Yo, he got them right?
Yeah, hell yeah. So that was my first one. So that's definitely like the pivotal moment when Frank is like, oh, I'm actually good at this. Like, interesting.
I was gonna say that scene goes to show you that when a con artist in general, and from what I've seen, just depicted in film, when they get away with something, they don't know how to stop. When did he think he was gonna how long did he think he was gonna keep teaching, like, semesters, like several semesters? Like, what are we gonna do, bro? He already planned a field trip. How do you plan a field trip?
And you're just field trip.
Yo, that was...
He's a genius.
See, I guess it was a different kind of mindset because... And I don't know if this scene is true, but any other kid, they would have just done that and would have just been like, you know what, guys, I'm not a real teacher. Yeah. Yo, let's party. We're gonna chill.
Yeah, that's true.
But he took it so serious that he literally was like, yo, homework assignment, class trip, parent-teacher conference. Like, yo, who does that? Would you have done that?
Hell no.
When you were like 16?
No. I would have not done that.
You would have been about your business. You would have just been like, you know what? I'm going home. I'm gonna skip this period.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
And also in that scene when the parents are talking to the principal, then this girl comes up and she's like, oh, I have a doctor's note from my mom, or my mom sent this note that I have a doctor's appointment. And Frank tells her, fold the paper. Like, he knew it was fake automatically. He was like, when your mom sends you a note, you automatically fold it. There's no crease. Make sure you crease it. Yeah. And the girl made sure that she creased it. Yep. So this shows that, one, Frank is really smart, and he can get away with a lot of things because of that. And
he pays attention to detail.
Exactly. Yeah. He's very observant. Yeah. Very observant. Yeah. And I don't think Frank would have gotten to where he was, or to where he got, if he wasn't that observant.
Right.
And then my second.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh my God. This one definitely tops that first one.
Okay.
But I wanted to say it because I thought it was a really good scene. But the second one is when Frank calls up someone. He's on a payphone. And he's like, oh, Pan Am has just released this, it's like this, program where we're gonna have a bunch of stewardesses or whatever. He goes to this college and he recruits
and Brenda snitched them.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta go with a plan. Yeah. Brenda snitched them out.
So then he gathers the stewardesses from that school and he goes to the Miami International Airport, and as they're walking, Frank's in his pilot suit. And for the viewers, if you haven't watched this, all of this is spoilers. But if you want more context, this is what's actually happening in the scene. There's a bunch of cops inside the airport because they're gonna catch Frank. Brenda snitched on him and said he was about to be in the Miami International Airport. Yep.
Dined them out in like 2 seconds.
She was like, boom, here you go.
Can I keep this money?
So all the FBI agents, including Carl Hanratty, are in the airport. There's a bunch of other cops in the airport trying to find this guy. And what does he do? He gathers beautiful women. And instead of looking at the pilot, the cops are looking at the women. They're looking at the pinstripes. This is why that quote is still in my head, because this is the theme throughout the movie. And this dude is wearing his pilot suit, and he does not get caught because who does he have in front of him? Beautiful women.
Right.
They're
exploding women.
Exactly.
Exploding women.
Exactly.
Would it be problematic right now in 2020?
Very problematic, but it worked. It worked. And I'm sure it will still work to this day. So
that's true.
So he distracted them because through their beauty. And then they get a call that a kid is wearing a pilot suit in a car. And then they go, all of them, just rush to this car to find out, to capture Frank. Even though Frank, we all know Frank is not in that damn car. They ruffle up the kid and they're like, who are you supposed to pick up? Because the kid was like, oh, I'm supposed to pick up someone here. He grabs a sign and it says Hanratty. Carl Hanratty. And I was like, oh my God, this is genius.
Yeah, it was genius.
Mr. Frank Abagnale is a genius. I know this is based on a true story, but I would like to know if all of these, like, especially capers. This scene
and these capers
is actually true.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to know if this actually happened.
That's true.
Because Mr. Frank Abagnale is a genius. That's it. That's my scene.
I love it. No, I love it. It's a great scene. I think I started laughing out loud as soon as like it ended, because I had forgotten that he planted the dude outside with the sign. I thought that was genius. I think touches. Yeah, it was those little touches, and I really enjoyed the fact that Hanratty got played, bamboozled again. Yeah. All right, so let's wrap this up. I got a couple more questions just to go ahead and wrap up the movie. Let's see here. Is there something you didn't like from the film? What didn't you like from the film? Rewatching it again now. What would you change?
What would I change?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Actors, scene, the way things were portrayed.
That's a tough one. What would I change?
Yeah, what would you change?
Of the movie? I guess I would change that scene with Jennifer Garner. Like, I think that was excessive. I was like, that's so stupid.
When as I was asking that question, I didn't even have an answer, and that's the first thing I thought about.
Yeah.
I didn't get. Do you know what the point with that scene was?
Shorty was apparently a celebrity, but she wanted to be paid. Like, she wanted to be paid.
Right.
She was like, "How much would you pay for me?"
Right.
It's like, you get money anyway. Why do you want him to pay for you? And at the end of the day, she didn't get paid. He did.
I know, because it was fake. He got paid
because it was a fake check.
It was a fake check.
And he got paid $400. So he got what he wanted and he got money out of it. Like, what? But I feel like that was unnecessary.
Yeah, like, what? I'll be honest with you. That scene, if you take it out of the movie, it doesn't change the way I feel about the film.
Yeah.
Because I don't think...
It didn't add anything to it.
Yeah, it didn't add anything to it. How do you like... Our producer's telling us that it's based on the true story, that he did con a hooker. But at the end of the day, like, even so, I get the conning. But by this time in the film, we've kind of established that Frank Abagnale was a true con artist. Yeah. I don't feel like we would have lost that sense with just that extra scene there, just to show you that, hey, he conned a hooker too.
So she was a hooker or a celebrity? Because he was like, oh, that.
No, I think she was a celebrity. No, I think she was probably like a kind of porn star or hooker.
Oh,
because when he said she was in the magazine. Correct.
Yes, you're right.
That's what they meant, that the young boys had her image
in their lockers.
In the lockers. Yeah, that's what he meant.
Okay.
She was just definitely a famous, like, either porn star or somebody who showed himself. Someone. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, but that was unnecessary.
Yeah, that one to me was unnecessary.
That could be booted from the movie.
Yeah. So like, now let's wrap it up. Let's talk about the ending.
Okay.
What did you think about the ending of the film? Even if it is portrayed on a true story, right?
Yeah.
How did the ending feel to you?
So I just watched this, so now I'm trying to think what happened in the end. The ending, it was that he tries to leave, and then he comes back. And he pretty much just stays, right? Mm-hmm. And then we get the credits, whatever. Yeah, all right. So how did you feel about that ending? I like the ending because it just came in full circle. Like, he wanted to fly, and I don't know if he ended up going or not. Mm-hmm. He probably did and came back. he was like, one last
right,
time.
Yeah,
one last time,
no.
please.
Yeah.
But I liked it because it closed it up.
Okay.
And he chose to do good. Instead of to con, he chose to do good. And I think that was the right choice, because if not, he was going to be in prison forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I think also I like the way you think that he left and he wasn't coming back. Mm-hmm. And then you see Carl Hanratty looking at this check, and he's like looking. And then here comes this dude, Frank. He's like, okay, let me look at it. And then you're like, oh, he came back, yay. So it's kind of like a happy moment. It's a happy ending in a way.
Okay.
And also I liked it because Hanratty was stuck on this idea that how did Frank Abagnale cheat on the bar?
Why do you think he was stuck on that idea?
Because I feel like he couldn't believe, he didn't know what he did to pass. Because that's a hard thing to, it's hard to pass.
To fake.
And it's a hard thing to fake. You can't fake passing the bar. Like, you got to take the bar, you know? So I think he was just stuck on this. Okay, what did he do? And it didn't click that he might have just studied, which is what he actually did. He just studied for the exam and he passed. That just shows that he's mad smart. But I like that they revealed that in the end, because that's one thing that he did, that he truly did. You know?
Okay.
So he didn't have to con his way into passing the bar.
Right.
He conned his way into university and all the previous things, but he didn't con himself to pass the bar.
My producer told me that he took it 3 times. So something we both didn't know, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he still did pass it.
He still passed.
Yeah, he still studied and passed it.
It doesn't matter how many times. You could take it 500 times. You pass, you pass.
Yeah.
Like, he passed. So, and I like that they gave us insights on his life as well. Yeah. And how he's getting like $1 million checks. I mean, not checks, but he's actually getting money from people.
Right.
He also does like, he speaks, or he used to speak, and he would get paid for that. And then the credits also mentioned that he designed many of the secure checks that banks have and that Fortune 500 companies use every day.
Right.
So he actually designed that. And he's now one of the world's foremost authorities in bank fraud and forgery. Companies pay him millions of dollars each year for his service. That's crazy. Yeah. Like, for you to be this con artist who then goes to jail and is sentenced.
One of the greats con artists.
It's one of the greatest. Yeah. And then you go to jail and you're sentenced for, I think it was like, 12 years or something like that, to jail. You don't fulfill your whole sentence in jail. You start working for the FBI because you're that good at what you do. Mm-hmm. And you're helping them stop other people from doing it. And then you get millions of dollars. Like, this boy came from a decent family who had kind of money, a little bit of money. They lose mad money. They lose a lot of money. Then he had nothing, and he just built himself into a million. That's insane. Right. That's insane.
Building something to a millionaire twice.
Twice. This guy, Mr. Frank Abagnale, I would love to meet you.
Anyway.
You can edit that part.
Anyway, yeah, we can edit that out, right? All right, so let's wrap up my daddy issues.
Oh, yes, daddy issues.
So, what do you think, and these are like my final questions on that topic specifically. What do you think the significance was that they always talked around Christmas? Do you think is because they only had each other, Hanratty and himself?
Yeah.
Is that why?
That's all they had.
Yeah, it's just they only had each other and Leon.
The mom wasn't really in his life anymore.
Right.
His dad wasn't... He wasn't the dad. The dad wasn't the dad that Frank wanted, in my opinion.
Right.
Because Frank wanted his dad to stop him, in my opinion. So Hanratty showed that he was interested in Frank. Mm-hmm. He was only interested in him because he wanted to catch him. But that's all that Frank needed. He just wanted that attention. And Carl Hanratty was giving it to him. Which is real sad, actually, thinking about it.
If you think about the ending, so at the end, before he gets on the flight, right? Mm-hmm. And this also leads to that, he asked him, he was pretty much telling him, like, nah, man, I'm going to go on this flight. I'm going to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And Hanratty kind of gave up on him. He was like, yo, you can do whatever you want, man. Like, nobody's chasing you anymore. like it's over, you know? So do you think in that scene at the end, he was looking for like that fatherly advice? That same thing that goes back to that, hey, no, stop me, please, that I need this attention. Do you think that's what it kept centralizing on? Is that what you took from it? What do you think?
Yeah, I actually forgot that happened.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it was. So Hanratty said in the end, it was like, we got you.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. It's kind of like when a parent gives up. And then you kind of feel bad. You know, it's like when your mom tells you to do something.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, whatever. You know, at this point, like,
go clean the kitchen. You don't do it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad, so then you do it.
Right.
Because you're like, damn, I just made my parent feel bad, or they gave up on me. So now I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I think definitely that's what it was.
That's crazy.
Such a great film. Mr. Frank Abagnale, I hope you listen to this. I would love to meet you, sir. Can we send this to him?
Yeah, we can send it to him. We can post it online.
Yo, Frank! Come through.
So, for me personally, I'm telling you, I could watch this film over and over again.
Same.
I don't know if I really enjoyed the ending as much. I felt like it kind of landed flat for me personally. I don't know. It just, the whole time that they kept meeting up with each other, there was that certain energy, and I felt that at the end it just kind of like went away. It kind of like wrapped up, and I get it's based on a true story, and I get that at the end that they just wanted to like, all right, well, he just ended up working for them. I don't know. I feel like personally it didn't really like land that like moment, you know, that had the whole entire film, because every time he would get away or something else would happen. And those climaxes came throughout the film that at the end that I was like waiting for something good to happen, that I'm like, okay. Like,
do you think it would be better if they finished right when Frank was leaving? So right after Hanratty was like, you know what, you do whatever you gotta do. Like, do whatever. I don't know. Do you think you would have liked it if it ended there and then you see a plane fly away? And then you have the credits, so then you know.
No, but then you have the credits that he came back.
Yeah, would you have like that instead?
I think that as an audience, and now that I'm rewatching it again, I feel like and that's a great idea, I love that, I would have ended it right there, because you could put it in the credits. Just put Frank ended up coming back after that long weekend, or he ended up working for the FBI for this many years. You could have put all those facts. You didn't need to have him actually show up again. You could have left me with that mystique, like, oh my God, he left. Yeah,
look
like
at the end to see.
Based on a true story, he came back. You know, like that. I love Spielberg though. All of his movies, man. Love you, Spielberg. When I saw it, seriously, my emotion, I felt flat. I didn't get the same emotion I got throughout the whole film. At every scene and every turn. Every scene that showed Leo, I was like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? Well, what is he going to do now? Like, what is Frank going to do? Like, tell me the story. Please tell me more. Keep me wanting more. Like, what happened? Put it up in the credits. Oh, yeah, cool. All right, he came back. He worked for them. He ended up working 20-something years. And you know what I mean? It was... Yes, you're completely right. I would have loved it if it would have ended right there, because it would have left us. Yeah, you think so? Yeah, you disagree?
I think we needed that ending, because we see, now, I like movies with that happy ending. I mean, I like.
But it would have been happy.
I know, it would have been happy. But I'm saying, like, especially when it comes to when you say daddy issues, like we had to have that close
resolution.
We had to have that resolution. Yeah.
Yes,
we had to see Frank come back.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm here for good. Like, we had to see that.
Okay.
I had to see that.
Okay.
So I definitely liked it because of, I need those resolutions in my life.
Well,
even though I do like films that don't have resolutions, because it keeps having, like, you keep thinking like, oh my God, what happened? Yeah. But because this is based on a true story, I feel like some people don't wait to read the credits, right? They don't. No,
they just give up the seat and bounce.
Read.
Yeah.
Some people don't. They don't read anything. They're like, oh, I'd rather just, all right, the movie's done. Okay, boom, bye.
Yeah.
So some people might be like, oh my God, yo, he left and he's still a con artist and he's.
That's true.
So I think Frank needed his name to be redeemed.
Okay.
And I think the ending definitely did that.
All right. Who won the movie?
Mr.
Who's
Frank
the MVP?
Mr. Frank Abagnale, yo.
The real one or Leo?
The real one and Leo.
Yeah?
For sure.
But thank you, Nat. Thank you for joining me. And thank you for being part of my team. I really appreciate you. You've been very helpful in getting this podcast started. And, I look forward to speaking to you again on the mic, not behind the scenes.
Ooh.
But yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Happy to be here, y'all. Catch the next one next week.